As you enter town, it's almost like going into a time warp. The variety of the houses. Brookeville has a house from every period of history almost. The history of it, the beauty of it attracted us.
It's a rural setting, and yet it's close enough to the city where I can work in Washington and feel I'm living in the country. And that's a nice feeling. Lots of beautiful old trees and nice neighbors.
I think everybody's friendly, and I think when, it comes down to, if you need help, I think everybody's very neighborly and pretty good to each other.
It's a very neat town. Front of it's on Georgia Avenue, back of it's on a couple thousand acres of trees, streams, woods, grass. Good people, ornery, nice, relaxed, nasty, but a good mix. Lots of kids, and in this yard anyhow, lots of animals. I like it. I just wish I didn't have the commute downtown. I'd like to be here more.
I'm 94 years old, and I've lived in Brookeville all my life, and I've seen a lot of changes. Where the post office is now, there used to be a general store there. Mr. Parsley run that, and we could go in there and get anything we wanted. In those days, I would call Brookeville a farming community. My parents moved here in Brookeville on a farm right out of Brookeville, 300-acre farm, and we didn't know what a automobile or really a good buggy at that time was. I went to this old school around here in the alley, or I went that off Market Street, up in there, and that's where I learned my ABCs, and I learned what they call the multiplication table up to 12. Then they closed that school, and somehow the county was attached with we called it the academy, where Dr. Reitman is now. So they had a school there. I went there, I think, about 3 years. I graduated from 8th grade there in 1912. It's just so different. It's just hard for me to come right out and think of the changes that I have seen. But I still like Brookeville.
It's a pretty little town. It's got a tremendous sense of place. As you know, many of the houses have been here for a couple hundred years.
Our house, in particular, really, the history of it, the beauty of it attracted us. Following the burning of Washington in 1814, of course, the Madisons had left the White House and fled Washington. James Madison arrived here on the 26th of August and stayed the night till the following day. This house has the history and everything, which is wonderful, but it also has the other dimension of that many old houses have, just the idea that all these other people, generations of people have been born, died in the house, and all of that. It's a real link to the past in time, and it's really a fascinating thing.
I came here when I was 11 years old in 1937.
Wow.
And been a great place to live. It really is. Brookeville's a nice town. Yeah, did a few antique brick sidewalks for the town, and I just did one up there by the old Brookeville Academy, and something people can use when we're long gone.
Yeah.
Nice brick sidewalk.
Well, I think there is a sense of community, and of course, for the last 3 or 4 years now, we've been on the historic register, and I think this is our strength, really, is the historic preservation of the community and to preserve what we have, because it is unique. I know I work in Olney, and when I come home, it's like an oasis coming into the town of Brookeville, provided I can get in my driveway.
You take your life in your hands every time you go in and out of the driveway. It's awful.
It's unbelievable. You have to be here to see it.
We have excitement right here in Brookeville every day, watching the traffic.
We were tremendous amount of traffic when we bought the house. The neighborhood's great, but the amount of traffic for the type of neighborhood it is ridiculous. I mean, it's a main thoroughfare out of D.C., and it should be someplace else. Yeah. It starts about 5:30 in the morning, goes till, well, at least when I leave for work, about 6:30. It's hard to even get out onto the road.
I can usually tell if I wake up early. I can tell the time of day by the traffic. If I wake up and I don't hear any cars, I know it's before 6. If I wake up and I hear a steady stream of cars, I know it's sometime between 6 and 7:30.
We have traffic jams some mornings in Brookeville. I can't make the turn there on the corner of Market Street and, High Street. I tell you, it is incredible. There are stop signs in two directions, but the other direction there's no stop sign, and people just intuitively expect people to stop coming up the hill there, but they just come barreling over there. It's a wonder more people haven't been maimed and killed at that intersection.
The one truck decided one morning to eliminate 20 feet of my hedge on the corner down here. I didn't hear about it until I got home. Well, when I got home, it was mashed down in tire tracks in there.
Up in the lawn.
Up on the lawn, right. Not just the curb lane, it sits up on the lawn.
It's only gotten worse, I think, even since we've been here. Just for the short time we've been here, it seems like there's been more and more traffic. They come around this curve and they don't slow down, and there's no way, and you can't see them. You just have to be quick about getting in and out, and don't hesitate or else you're dead.
In June of this year, my son pulled in the driveway. Someone rear-ended him. Even though he had his signal on, we've learned to put our signal on at the light and to keep it on as it clicks off around the little turn there. And he ended up with a fractured back and a fractured rib, and he hasn't even went back to work yet.
We see our share of accidents. There was one last Sunday when a drunk came around and bounced off the wall and landed up across here.
That was very close to your house.
Yeah.
Now that the other day was unusual. We never had any come across the road until the other day. Well, that's not true because that leaf truck overturned on the sidewalk. But last fall, Pam had just gone home with the kids and it overturned. And then when the police chased that fella through here and he went through, so that's the third time they've been on the sidewalk. That's scary. But the kids and the dogs and people. It is of concern to me because I've got 2 small children and our house is right on the street. And so there's nothing that stops speeders.
Even on this side of town, which is supposedly the quiet side of town, there's a lot of development down this road, and because of that, there have been an awful lot of trucks and heavy traffic going down. The other side of town, of course, is terribly busy because of Georgia Avenue.
There's no question that Georgia Avenue, as it winds through Brookeville, is an extremely unsafe road, both from the standpoint of those who drive it and from the standpoint of those who live in the town. Between I-70, as we pointed out many times, traffic coming down from Frederick County sees the newly widened Georgia Avenue south of Olney. It's a wonderful access point to the Capitol Beltway, to Washington, and we're seeing tremendous numbers of large trucks taking advantage of that. With development of Shady Grove Metro, with development north of town toward Howard County, with the tremendous development in Olney, and with development east of town along Brighton Dam Road, we're gonna see more and more traffic.
It's a small town, and the topography is such, and of course most of the homes are old and are built right on the highway, that there isn't any room for right-of-ways to do anything about widening it. So the only answer is to go around it.
The way the town is laid out with the curves and the hills makes it more difficult than like Sandy Spring where you go straight through. Like the tractor trailers that come through here, I don't know how they can make the turns, and sometimes they don't. And the traffic is just, it's too heavy to be coming through the town.
It would be great if we could get a bypass because, the town could be quiet again. It's a nice little quiet town, but I don't know when it'll happen. They've been talking about it ever since I've been here.
I know that there are good plans, good traffic plans, but none of them ever seem to get implemented, and I don't really know what the problem is. They just seem to keep on building more places, and they're feeding them all into the same little roads, and if something isn't done, it's going to destroy our town, really.
Definitely a bypass. I don't see any other solution. They've been surveying for a new road for years and years, and it has never been a reality. So now with this traffic and all the traffic coming in from the north into the down county, it's a necessity and the only solution I see.
Nobody we found disagrees with our statement that this road is needed from the state highway administration on down. It's a question of continuing to make our case over and over and over again until we get everybody to agree that now is the time.
We've sat back and waited as an old community for the newer communities to develop. Now we're being impacted by the newer communities. So I think we have a legitimate procedure there that we should follow to say, hey, we think it's about our turn now.
If we can get a bypass, it's quite possible we may have a treasure here that may not be found again for a long time, at least on the East Coast.